Blood was already sliding down her wrists, cutting thin lines where the rope dug into her skin. She could feel the bark of the oak tree pressing into her back, rough and unyielding. Two officers in uniform stood a few feet away, their voices low, their intentions clear. This wasn't a traffic stop anymore. This wasn't about law. This was a warning, a punishment, maybe worse. And yet deep inside, Lydia Carter wasn't broken. She had managed to send one signal before they snatched her phone. A coded alert, a simple vibration pattern, and now her husband knew. Calvin Carter wasn't an ordinary man. To most people in the quiet town of Maplewood, he was just a consultant, a veteran trying to live a quiet life. But to anyone who had served beside him overseas, he was something else entirely, a former Delta operator who had built his career navigating hostile terrain, surviving impossible odds, and bringing people home. And if these cops thought they could intimidate his wife without consequence, they were about to learn a lesson that no academy had ever taught them. That morning had started so normal. Lydia had brewed coffee, carefully arranging her files for the zoning board meeting. She'd been fighting for almost 3 years to get approval for a youth center in Maplewood's east side, a place where kids could feel safe and dream bigger than the crumbling streets around them. Every step forward had been met with delays, with city officials inventing new reasons to stall. Too few parking spaces, not enough lighting, endless excuses that made no sense. But Lydia didn't quit. She glanced across the kitchen and smiled at Calvin, broad-shouldered, disciplined even in his sleep, but soft when he looked at her. He'd teased her about her big day, kissed her forehead, promised steaks on the grill that evening. They'd been through deployment separations, near misses in foreign countries, but Maplewood, this was supposed to be their sanctuary. Still, they both felt it, eyes watching from patrol cars that cruised their neighborhood too often, questions disguised as small talk that were just too pointed. Lydia had even been cornered by Police Chief Rayburn after a city council meeting. He hadn't laid hands on her, but the way he loomed, the way his palm rested casually on his gun holster, it was a threat plain as day. She hadn't told Calvin the full story. She knew how quickly his protective instincts flared, and she didn't want him storming into the chief's office. But now, strapped against a tree in the same woods where generations before had been lynched, Lydia realized those instincts were exactly what she needed. "Mike, this is too far," one of the younger officers muttered, shifting uneasily. His name tag said Holbrook. "Shut it," the older one, Officer Larkin, snapped. The chief said, "Make an impression. She wants to play investigator. Let's see how much fight she's got after a night out here." Lydia spit blood onto the ground, looked Holbrook straight in the eye. "You know this is kidnapping. You know it. You still have a chance to walk away." Holbrook's jaw tightened, but he looped the rope anyway, his hands trembling. Larkin smirked. "Lady, no one's coming. Your husband can't save you from this. By the time anybody cares, you'll be begging to shut that center down." What he didn't know, Calvin was already moving. The moment his phone buzzed with the pattern they had practiced, 3 short, 3 long, 3 short, he was up from the table, his old instincts firing like muscle memory. He didn't shout, didn't panic. He just moved methodical calm. He opened the hidden trunk in the garage, pulling out a vest, a med kit, comms gear, even a small camera rig. Nothing lethal, he knew better than to go toe-to-toe with cops using weapons. But enough to survive, enough to record, enough to hold them accountable. As he drove, he called Andre Whitfield, his old teammate, now a state trooper in the next county. "Yeah, emergency protocol, Sierra, Lydia's been taken. Coordinates say Bennett Woods." Andre didn't hesitate. "I'm 20 minutes out. Keep her breathing." By the time Calvin parked half a mile from the signal, his breathing was steady, his eyes scanning every angle of the woods. The same woods he and Lydia had once hiked on Sunday afternoon, laughing about squirrels and picnic lunches. Now every branch, every shadow felt like a battlefield. He crept silently, tracking the faint ping of her phone until the clearing came into view. And there she was, tied up, blood on her lip, her chin lifted like a queen refusing to bow. He stayed hidden for long minutes, documenting everything. Officer badges, visible license plates, captured voices, recorded. He caught Larkin's words on tape. The chief says Harrington's deals go through no matter what. She's been stirring people up. Maybe she disappears until she learns her place. That was enough. Calvin stepped out deliberately, letting a dry branch crack under his boot. All three men whipped around, hands going to their guns. "Identify yourself," Larkin barked. "Calvin Carter," he said evenly, raising his hands to shoulder height. "I'm here for my wife." Rage twisted Larkin's face. "You're trespassing on an active police operation." "Get on the ground, police operation." Calvin's voice stayed calm, steady. "Tying a woman to a tree, bloodying her face, that's not procedure. That's a felony, and I've got it all recorded." Holbrook shifted nervously. "Maybe we should—" "Shut it, rookie," Larkin snarled, aiming his pistol at Calvin. "On your knees now." Lydia's voice cut through the tension. "Calvin, they think you are bound by rules. Show them what a real man of honor looks like." That snapped the last thread. Larkin lunged forward, swinging his weapon to strike. Calvin moved like lightning, decades of training unleashed. He twisted Larkin's arm, stripped the gun, kicked it aside all in seconds. Larkin hit the ground, cursing, humiliated. Sergeant Blake, the third officer who had just arrived, raised his weapon, but hesitated. He wasn't sure of the odds. Holbrook froze, torn between fear and conscience. "This ends now," Calvin said, voice like iron. "You released my wife, or tomorrow morning headlines read, 'Police caught on tape kidnapping a civilian.'" He held up the blinking recorder for emphasis. Before anyone could answer, a new voice rang out from the trees. "State police weapons." Down Andre emerged, weapon drawn, badge visible. Everybody freeze. The dynamic shifted instantly. Larkin snarled. Holbrook stepped back. Blake tried to argue jurisdiction, but Andre wasn't budging. "Civil rights violations concern the entire state. She walks out of here free, and you three are coming in for questioning." For a moment, no one breathed. Then Lydia tugged at the rope until it loosened, stumbling free. Calvin caught her, pulling her into his chest. She looked battered, but her eyes blazed. "I've got names, I've got files, I've got proof," she whispered. "They wanted me scared. They just made me stronger." Larkin spat, blood glaring. "You don't know who you're messing with." Lydia met his stare. "Neither do you." That night didn't end with neat justice. The department tried to flip the script, filing charges against Lydia and Calvin, smearing them in the press as anti-police agitators. Warrants, raids, false accusations all came fast. But the truth was already out. The recordings, the documents, the witnesses, they had everything they needed to blow the corruption wide open. And the community didn't stay silent. People formed human chains around churches. Business owners brought out citation papers showing years of harassment. Young activists live-streamed every move. What started as one woman's fight turned into a movement. Months later, Chief Rayburn developer Charles Harrington and Judge Kinney, the very men who thought they were untouchable, were the ones in handcuffs. Federal charges, national headlines, careers in ashes. But that oak tree still stands in Bennett Woods. And every year now, the community gathers there, not in fear, but in defiance. Lydia and Calvin stand together, holding hands, living proof that silence only feeds corruption and courage can ignite a storm. So I'll leave you with this. If it were you, if someone you loved was dragged into the woods by men wearing badges, would you stay quiet? Or would you stand up and fight like Lydia and Calvin did? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me if you believe justice like this can ever truly win, or if power always finds a way back. And if this story stirred something in you, hit like, share it, and subscribe, because stories like this remind us that the fight for justice isn't over. It's just beginning.